Okay, we just showed you some examples of how Microsoft is working with customers. Now I'd like to introduce our industry technology strategist, Chris Van Dyke, to take us through a demo using the latest Microsoft technologies.
Thanks, David. So what you're going to see today is you're going to see a Contoso employee using scorecards to drill in and look for opportunities for improvement. You're going to see unified messaging as a tool to bring companies closer to their partners. You're going to see a way to ask new questions of your data and discover new business insights. And then we're going to wrap up with the latest innovations in self-service BI, enabling employees to perform more powerful analysis. So in today's demo, Tyler, a Contoso Oil&Gas operations supervisor, is going to review the company's scorecard to drill in and look for areas for improvement. All right, Tyler, so what are we looking at here today?
Well, Chris, this is our corporate dashboard that we use to monitor performance. Now, what we've done is we've gathered data from multiple back-end systems. We're storing that in our data warehouse. And then we built a business model to expose these KPIs, or key performance indicators. Okay,
good. Well, I can see, look at the scorecard, I see a lot of green, especially on the HSE side, so that's pretty good. But I can see we've got a couple yellows here. Well, you know, looking at today's price of oil, I can see a yellow in oil, so I know that's probably a problem area that you want to focus on. So how can we start to see what's going on here?
Well, the first thing I'd probably do is drill into this scorecard. And what we can see is we've got our 3 business units, and it's San Joaquin where we have the largest variance, nearly 2%.
Okay, good. So I can see that when you clicked on it, open that, the pie chart went away, but now we've got a line chart. What's this line chart showing us?
Yeah, this is giving us a 12-month history of forecast versus actuals, in this case for oil production.
But this is a roll-up for the whole company, correct?
Right.
So how can we then, I guess we want to go look at San Joaquin, how can we drill in to see San Joaquin's production?
Well, sure. These charts are designed to be interactive, so I can select different measurements, I can change report types, or to your point, we can drill into those details. But let's do this. I'm going to start off and just open this up in a new window. And then let's take a look at those production actuals, and we'll just drill into that by business unit.
Okay, good. Okay, so I can see now it's broken out. I've got all 3 business units showing. But the one we want to see is the San Joaquin. Can we focus in on that?
Sure. We'll just right-click there and just show only San Joaquin. And then I think let's do this as well. I'm going to deselect that production volume, and we'll just look at volume variance as a percentage. And I'll go ahead and format that as a column chart for us.
Okay, very good. So that's really going to show us what's happened in production in the last few months, and I can see the last 2 months have been really down. We've had a big drop in oil production. So I guess we know this is San Joaquin. We probably want to start looking and see if we can drill down into the underlying data. How can we get there from here?
Well, one thing we could do is we can isolate December. I'm going to right-click here, and we'll do something called a decomposition tree.
Okay. Okay. So I can see that we're looking at it kind of at the business hierarchy. So we went from the business unit to the assets, and now we're on the fields. Right. Well, we've drilled that way. Can we also drill? Is there another way we can drill? Can we look at some of the underlying data?
Sure. We can do a cross drill. So we've got the whole business model here. So for example, maybe we want to look at variance by well status, for example.
Okay.
And of course, active producers. That's
those are the ones that are underperforming.
Yep. And then from there, we might eventually go all the way down to the well level itself.
Okay. Very good. Okay, good. So this is now giving us a list. Now we've drilled down and we can see all the individual wells that are having a problem. I guess what's our next step to see if we can get these producing again?
Well, we're going to want to do some collaboration with our engineers. It looks like we actually have a call coming from a partner of ours.
Okay, good.
Hi, Tyler. Do you have a minute to talk about some of the Model 220 ESPs that we have out in Four Winds?
Sure.
So Laura works for Fabricam, and Fabricam is a supplier of ESP pumps for Contoso. One of the value-add services they give is they're constantly gathering and analyzing logs, maintenance and work history of the pumps, so they can work to reduce customer downtime. So that data, all that data that's structured and unstructured data. It's large data sets. Traditionally that's hard. It's unwieldy to have in a normal database. So because of this structure, Fabricam has chosen a big data approach, and they're utilizing Hadoop up in Windows Azure. Now, by running Hadoop in the cloud, this allows them to quickly and easily add nodes, increase storage and computing power. And it also allows them to, by storing the data in Hadoop, it makes it easy for them to go and perform some exploratory analysis. So say they've got all this data stored up there, they can then ask the question into the cloud, well, what happens to a pump when it begins to fail? So at that point, Hadoop will go and goes across all of its nodes, pulls together all the information of all the pumps for that time when they're about to fail, puts that into a packet, and then that data is then moved over from through the connector into SQL in the parallel data warehouse. From there, the FabricCam engineers can then go and analyze this and start to find the answers with traditional BI tools, predictive analytics, even bring it into Power Pivot through Excel.
Laura, are you there?
I'm here. I'd like to share my desktop with you.
Okay, I can see that.
We've been alerted to some potential issues with the ESPs in 4Winds. And based off of our models and some of the historical analysis, I'm predicting a pump failure in approximately 24 to 36 hours. I took a look at some of the similar pumps and their work histories, and some probable causes include an increase in gas output or a scaling in the pump. Have you seen an increase in the water cut?
As a matter of fact, we have.
Yeah, my recommendation on that would be to reduce output to the pump and look at scheduling an acid wash. You may also want to look into other wells in the field that are showing the same increase in water cut.
All right, great. Thanks, Laura. We'll do that.
Okay, great. So now we've got a little bit more information, Tyler. So how can we go and do, this is probably a report you're going to have to build on your own. How can we go and do that?
Yeah, Chris, in the past, this would have been a very manual, potentially very time-consuming effort. I would have to grab the data from that vendor, then go manually get that data from our corporate systems, bring that down, kind of munge that on the desktop, and then I'd probably end up sharing that by emailing spreadsheets around.
Okay.
Now, a couple of years ago, Microsoft really streamlined that whole process of how I gather, store, model, analyze, and share information. They did that with the introduction of Power Pivot, which is an add-in for both Excel and SharePoint. Now, what we're going to look at today is something that builds on top of that Power Pivot architecture. It's called PowerView. PowerView is a data visualization and exploration tool.
Okay. So I saw we were in SharePoint, we had the report gallery, and you just clicked in to drill into one of these reports.
Yeah, this is an existing report I'm showing here. I call this my asset analysis report, and it gives me an at-a-glance view of the different assets. And, Chris, one of the neat things about PowerView is the way that I've just got this smart interaction. So notice here I'm on 4Winds. I clicked on the Holloway fields, and not only did that chart filter, but all the charts and the elements in the whole report filter automatically.
Okay, very good. Well, so you've got these reports, but I guess what we want to do is go create a new report so we can perform this new analysis.
That's right. We want to look at that water cut. So what I have here, I've got a view that I've started, and I've already got a filter for Holloway Fields and that 220 pump that Laura talked about.
Okay, good.
So what we'll do is we'll build a scatter chart here to analyze that.
Okay, so I guess this is Power Pivot behind the report. So what you're clicking on here on the right is that data model that was assembled in Power Pivot, and now you're able to go click these different fields and bring them into the report.
That's right. So just to walk you through, what I've done is I've taken the water variance as a percent. That's on the x-axis of this chart. On the y-axis, I'm looking at my oil production, and I've got plotted the actual wells. Let's add some
okay.
And then let's do this. This is kind of neat. I'm going to go up to the date here, and we'll add something what we call a play axis, so we can actually watch these values, these measurements change over time, and we'll do that at a monthly level.
Okay.
And so let me put this back in full screen here, and we'll watch this play out over time.
Okay, so what we're seeing is, if I'm reading this right, we're looking at those. We're looking for those pumps that go on the right because those are the pumps that have the increased water cut that could also be having the scaling problem. But what I'd like to do is there a way that we can take and I see you've drilled into that. Is there a way we can click and maybe bring some size into it to show by the oil forecast?
Sure, and let me just say right here, this well here, 485, it's kind of interesting, and you see that increase in water cut over time, and you've noticed that pretty drastic actually decrease in monthly oil output. But to your point, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to go back over here, and we'll grab that forecast data, oil forecast, and that's going to now represent the relative size of that bubble.
Can we color code them also?
We could do that. Let's take...
we do it by zone.
Sure. We'll add zone.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to put a tracer on this well now. And again, let's go back to full screen, and we'll watch that play out again.
Okay, I see. Now you focused, now you've really focused in on that well, and we can see how that well's trended for the past few months. Okay, great. Well, I guess you've built this report. Now you need your next step is to then share it out with your team and maybe even go into a well review meeting with your team. So how can you do that?
Well, I'm going to do two things. I just saved the report back to the Power Pivot gallery. Now it's available to anyone to view on demand.
Okay.
Now for that meeting, I'm going to go ahead and just save this as a PowerPoint deck so that I can use PowerPoint during that presentation.
Oh, okay.
So this is exporting. Let me show you what that looks like.
Okay, so both those reports that we've created are now individual slides.
That's right.
Okay, so I guess these are screenshots. How would we get to go? We got to go back to web to get the interactivity again?
Well, actually, we got this button. Click to interact. And what this is going to do, we're still in PowerPoint, but we're reconnecting to that report kind of live here. And what we can do is we've got the full interactive experience.
Live demo.
Live demo, so we will any moment now have that full interactive experience. There we go. And again, we can interact with that first chart like I showed you, or we can rerun that play axis. So really handy for that presentation.
Great. Well, that's great, Tyler. So I guess now we've got your reports together. Now I guess you need to go off and work with your team. Thanks a lot, Tyler.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So I'd like to thank Accenture's Production Optimization Group for their collaboration in helping us build today's scenario. And I'd like to welcome Dave back to the stage.
Hey, Chris, what did we just see?
So what you've seen today is you've seen the ability to deliver scorecards through SharePoint's Performance Point services, and allows users the ability to drill in and look at the underlying data. You've seen Lync as a collaboration tool to connect operators with their partners, enabling voice, video, instant messaging, and the ability to share desktops. And by giving that voice capability, we're allowing companies to start moving away from that the big metal PBX. We've also shown you how a big data infrastructure can empower companies to ask new questions of their data to gain new insights. And then lastly, we've shown you how SQL Server 2012 is delivering further capabilities for Microsoft self-service BI vision.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thanks a lot.
Great job.